Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark.
And I'm Brent. Let's get started.
All right, thanks for everyone for tuning in. We have a special night tonight. We have a guest with us. He's an amazing artist who does a lot of comic covers. He's worked on a bunch of movies, and we're going to dive into all that pretty deeply here. And before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted when future videos come out.
Yeah, and make sure you guys join us join us in the live chat. If you got any questions for our guest, feel free to hit us up, and we'll try to get to them.
So without any further ado, let's introduce our guest for tonight. It's superstar artist John Giang. How's it going, man?
Hey guys, what's up? Good to see you guys.
Nothing much, man. It's really excited to have you here. I've been looking forward to this for a while. You know, it hasn't been too long since I've noticed your art and kind of started following it. It was really the release of Draken New Dawn that caught my eye. That cover just absolutely blew me away. And I actually have a video on the channel. It was one of my first videos I started doing where I unboxed that cover, and you actually see it in my face, my reaction, because I pull one book out and look at it, and it was a really cool Montez variant. And I put it down, then I pull that Draken book out, and I literally paused. I'm like, what in the world? And I had to look closer at it because I've never seen such a crisp book in hand. It was amazing.
Oh, nice. Well, you can thank Boom's amazing printing and everything like that for such a beautiful looking book.
It really was. I have a feeling that you had a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
well,
I'm looking forward to getting mine in. I ordered it along with the Last Ronin #2 that you did as well. So those should be coming at the same time. So I'm pretty excited for it. I know I've been talking about grabbing that Draken one for a while. So.
Nice. Well, thank you guys.
After that, it was just kind of off to the races. That Rorschach followed right behind it. And then I started checking out other shops and everything. So now I've amassed a pretty decent collection, and you ought to see my shop app. It's just loaded right now. You just keep coming out with hit after hit. But we do have a couple people in the chat I want to say hey to. You do have some that you be familiar with, John. And I did just listen to this podcast. It's the C-List Villains podcast. That was an awesome show.
Those guys gave me a hard time, but it was a lot of fun.
It was an awesome show, man. I definitely suggest anyone go check it out. I saw on the on Facebook where y'all advertised that where it was about to drop. So I went and downloaded Spotify just to listen to it because I didn't have Spotify. It was definitely worth it though. Yeah, we have Whack Comics in here. What's going on, buddy? We've got Ryan, the new guy. You should check out his YouTube channel. And we have World Traveler Nerd. That's another guy I met on Instagram. Appreciate everyone stopping by. If y'all have any questions as we go through this, we'll be happy to voice them for you.
Thanks for having. Thanks for joining us, guys.
But let's get started, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is. If you guys are not familiar with me, my name is John Giang. I'm artist, illustrator, concept artist, all that sort of stuff. I've done work in movies, worked on movies, many of the Marvel movies, Avengers 1 and 2, Iron Man 1 and 2, Captain America Winter Soldier, Rango, Pacific Rim, as a concept artist. So I get the fun job of designing cool stuff that you see in the movies and things like that, creatures, robots, weapons, environments. And also like keyframing sort of like scenes and things like that. And more recently, I've been getting into a lot of doing a lot of variant covers. As Mark and Brent have mentioned, you've probably seen some of my work for Boom, IDW, DC, Lord Draken, New Dawn, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus the Power Rangers, the Ronin covers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Batman. Recently, I dropped the Death Metal 5 for DC, which was a Robin King, which I kind of thought was a pretty cool cover. And
that was sick.
Yeah, thanks. If it's sick and demented, I like to do it. So
yeah, I was kind of looking at the Batman Who Laughs a lot, and then the Robin King one. I was looking at that, and I was kind of wondering where do you kind of draw your inspiration for doing such twisted things? Like, where do you go to find that?
It's from all over. I get that. I get asked that question a lot in terms of like what my influences are, and that sort of thing. But it really does come from a whole plethora of stuff that I watch and I take in, and I try to understand. I don't want to get too artsy with my answer and everything like that, but I try to understand the goals of that particular design or that particular character or whatever they're trying to exude. And obviously things like, creepy sort of stuff, has a very strong sort of like aesthetic that, I think for me is kind of pretty fun to kind of execute. And so whenever I can do sort of like creepy and things like that and do it in I think the catch too is also trying to do it in a tasteful way too, because I think that we can all kind of do creepy and weird and all those things, but in an attempt to kind of look at make sure that it does look a little bit more like I said, tasteful and elevated and everything like that. I don't want to. It sounds very artsy here, but yeah, trying to do it in a way that does make sense and is fun too at the same time.
Very cool. What started the transition from kind of like concept art into getting into variant covers?
Well, I think to me, I know that if you ask various individuals and professionals in both fields, they're gonna say that there's a big distinction between those things, and there are differences. But I also like to think that there isn't a lot too. Like I'm still kind of doing the sort of work that if I were to do a design for the Robin King in a motion picture, it would be probably somewhat similar to the illustration that I'd recently done for the cover and things like that. Just trying to make sure that there's a certain level of fidelity and rendering and realism to it, as well as all that sort of like fun and drama and all that sort of stuff that we oftentimes find in comic book art. The energy and the sort of coolness and those sorts of things. Not to say that that's not on film too, but I think that I think there's also too, I think the ability to kind of show off styles and things like that in comic books, maybe a little bit more so than maybe feature films and live action design.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still, to me, it's kind of not one or the other. But long answer here is that I've always wanted to do comic art as well. So ever since I was a kid, the dream of actually working on covers or art, interior art, or anything like that, or just being involved in the comic industry is always something that I've always kind of like strived for. I often too believe that comics are also a really great way to get stories out. They're kind of what I like to call modern mythology, and more specifically American modern mythology, and it's a great way to kind of as you can see, even feature films, video games, all those sorts of things, they do mine the comic industry in terms of like trying to find those ideas they can convert into cool games or cool films and stuff.
Talking about the industry, what was like your first foot in the doorway to get into the industry? Just going from just regular civilian drawing for fun to drawing professionally on any level.
In terms of just any art, I went to art school for one, and I was I think in recent interviews I was elaborating the fact that I was always trying to do and be in the creative fields and still kind of make a decent living. And so I was a graphic designer for a long time. I was art director in a lot of Silicon Valley companies out here in Northern California. And then, but I'd always had a passion for illustrating, and I always wanted to, like I said, get into comic books and whatnot. So I was always trying to make inroads on that. And then I finally, I was always kind of doing freelance gigs that I could, big or small, anything that I could do to kind of, get my art style out there and get printed and, and that sort of thing. But I guess a funny story is that one sort of lucky break that I had that, kind of got me into concept art was, I don't know if I told this story recently, but I was at a convention and it was just a really not a good show. It was terrible. No one was showing up, and but across the aisle, this shows you how poorly that show was organized. There was like a toy vendor, in amongst the artists and everything like that. But anyways, a couple guys were looking at the toys across from my table. They looked back at my art, and finally they moseyed on over, and they were like, "We love your stuff. Like, what would you want to do?" And what the funny story is, part of the story is that I was actually already packing up. I was packing up my stuff, packing up my table. I was about to jet. There was really no one there. But these guys were looking at my work, and I was like, well, I had grown up in the Midwest, but I was like, well, I want to move. I moved out to Northern California. I wanted to kind of, establish my foot and get my foot in the door at like maybe a Pixar or a Lucasfilm or something like that. And a couple of the guys there that were looking at my stuff were like, well, we're from Lucasfilm and things like that. So,
oh, nice.
So kind of just went from there. Yeah, kind of a lucky break.
The right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right place at the right time. I always like to say, you gotta kind of like dream big, but you also gotta put in the work, and make it happen. And if I didn't kind of like, because there was moments in that, and then the other thing too is that convention was like a 3-day convention. That was like day 3. I was already kind of like sticking it out. I could have left because there obviously no money or anything was being made, but I always kind of say, being at the right place at the right time is also the fact that I had to kind of like persevere and kind of say, well, I wasn't gonna leave and things like that, because I also think too there's even if the show isn't very good, I'm always kind of like putting in work in terms of like presenting my work and talking about my work and making relationships making relationships with fans and luckily, other professionals and that sort of thing.
Very nice.
So that was kind of like my sort of one big break to get into concept art.
And on that note, talking about working in the movie industry, World Traveler Nerd asks, as a movie designer, what's been one of your favorite or just most fun works, whether it be costume design, weapons, or creature monster?
Yeah, I think one of the sort of like things that I thought was really cool for me was contributing design elements and art to help design the Hulkbuster. That was really cool. Also getting to help design Gypsy Danger's chainsword in Pacific Rim was also really cool. And one opportunity that kind of, again, being in the right place at the right time, but also having the work to show, was helping to work on the Mark II Whiplash suit in Iron Man 2. And that was kind of like that was kind of like a spur of the moment. I think the intention was to kind of maybe bring him back in a suit that was very similar to the one that was in Monaco.
Okay.
But us at the art department was like, well, he's going to be fighting a War Machine as well as an upgraded Iron Man suit. Let's see what we can do to kind of like bolster that look. And we had kind of thrown something together, had it in our back pocket, not really with any intention to maybe show it at some point, but luckily it's looking at the script, and Jon Favreau and crew were like, we should probably put him in a suit. And so we were like, hey, we happen to have something. And then we also worked very
yeah.
and then we also
is he as cool in real life as he seems on film? Jon Favreau, he just seems like a chill guy.
Yeah, he stopped by my desk once or twice when I was there, and he didn't actually, say, "Hey, you're the guy who designed it," but I had it hanging up in my, look at him now. And he was like,
Very
"Oh,
cool.
did you happen to work on that?" I was like, "Yeah, I happened to work on it a little bit." We also worked with Ryan Meinerding, at Marvel Studios and his crew and all stuff, and they did a pass, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of collaborative sort of like back and forth and stuff.
Did you have any like fanboy moments around these people at that point?
I had fanboy moments all the time.
All the time, yeah.
All the time.
I would.
I often say like my first couple days working there, and that's the thing is that a lot of people are like, well, Industrial Light and Magic, they're obviously known for movies like, the Star Wars movies and, Indiana Jones and everything like that. But, they're also known for movies that we, their portfolio of work is immense. They've worked on everything from like, maybe I'm not making good examples, but like Sweet November to like Ghostbusters and E.T. and The Abyss and all these things. And my first couple of days was just walking around the hallways, just kind of like in awe of like, oh my God, that's like the bicycles that they ride in E.T. and that's the maquette from like Jurassic Park. And
oh, that'd be amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's like a museum working there.
It really is. It really is. And we have like the giant ships from like Galaxy Quest and everything like that hanging from the.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's one of the funniest movies ever.
it's one of the best. It really
Yeah.
is. So,
Now,
anyways, at one point, you just have to kind of like, okay, well, if there's enough fanboying, I got to actually get some work done.
Gotta be professional a little bit.
yeah. Talking about Whiplash's upgrade, for me, one of the coolest movie designs that you did, and I think it's just because of I grew up with the Ninja Turtles, and then watching the relaunch where they remade the film. I'm gonna throw this design up for a minute. When I first saw that in theaters, like, and I don't think that I saw the trailers for it or anything to begin with. The first time I saw it was in the theater when he rolled up in the sewer in their hideout with that suit and just starts pulling blades out, and I was just mind blown by that. And all the fine detail and all the symbols on them and everything, that just blew me away. Like, going from kind of just like a basic samurai gear with minimal spikes and stuff to that, I thought that was amazing.
Well, I think that's the other thing when we talk about fanboy moments. Like, I get really kind of like emotional in the fact that I've been blessed enough to kind of work on these things that I grew up admiring. Like I said, I've worked. I loved. I'm a child of the '80s, so I loved Transformers, and the fact that I got to work on the movies. I loved, like I said, I love Voltron. I love Godzilla. Getting to work on Pacific Rim. I love superheroes. Working on Iron Man movies and Avengers, and then I love Turtles. And to be able to kind of do my iteration of Shredder and have it be on the big screen, work on a lot of the base design for the Turtles, and it's just been super. It's awesome. Like, just be able to kind of say you had a hand in that is immensely,
It's one thing to see your childhood brought to life, and it's another thing to bring your own childhood to life.
To be a part of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you had more pressure on you working with these properties that you grew up with that you might have been more passionate about?
Well, I think that's the thing that I think folks don't also realize too, is that though this is cool and though this is something that we all have dreamt about doing at some point, it is a lot of pressure and it is a business. You have to, like for the Shredder, we essentially was revamping a design, and we were told that we had one night to kind of cobble together as many sort of iterations as we can. And I painted that one, and another designer had painted a few, and my art director had painted a couple, and that was the one that kind of Michael Bay responded to. But essentially, we had one day to kind of come up with stuff, and that's oftentimes the case with concept art. But it's never, it's
Yeah.
never, it's never not a pressure cooker situation. Because the other thing too is that, like you said, you have so much sort of like childhood nostalgia and love for these things. You want to make sure you give them justice and stuff.
Oh, for
Well,
sure.
what was the like you said, the transition wasn't hard, like on an artistic level, going from concept designer for film to cover artist for comics. But what about like the actual industry switching, going from working on films to actually your job, turning in your art to comic books now? How did that
There's
transition come about?
that transition came about. I was always kind of, even when I was a concept artist, I was um, uh, when I was more heavily into the concept art industry, I was still always kind of doing my own illustrations and kind of like doing things where I could kind of exude my own style a little bit more. And I was doing conventions and that, all of those sorts of events, and trying to, again, expose my art as much as I could. Um, and I think I said this last time too, was that one of my big breaks was one of the, and I really owe a lot to Sean Hidalgo at Comics Elite. He was always kind of like a huge advocate of my work, and he had always been like, we got to work together, we got to do something. And at ECC one year, he um, suggested to a couple of the DC editors that I should that they should come up and take a look at my stuff, and they did. And we kind of went from there. And we did my first variant, which was Deceased #1, and then I did the
Was that the
first.
Batman one
That was the Joker.
or the Joker one?
Yeah.
That's an insane cover. And didn't you say before that you kind of had that image already drawn previously, like an iteration of it?
I had a sort of zombie-ish sort of Joker of my own. But yeah, then they were like, yeah, what we're doing with this sort of like zombie versions of our characters is exactly kind of like what you're doing and whatnot. So,
Dude,
yeah.
those covers were spot on for that series. We both have picked up and read that series and really enjoyed it. And those covers match the insanity of what's going on inside there perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think very recently too, with the Robin King and everything like that, it kind of, I think, continues the line a little bit.
Dude, that's exactly what I was telling Brent when I saw that cover. I said that's like a perfect pair for the Batman Who Laughs one. They just go perfectly together. And that character is even more sadistic than the Batman Who Laughs and the characters that have come before him. And you just kind of captured it in his eyes and that crooked grin, man. It was really a beast of a cover, dude.
Oh
Thanks.
Yeah. And we do have a question. If I could find it, I just had it up. But they wanted to know, would a great cover artist like John accept doing interiors?
Yeah, I think I touched upon this last time. I would love to. As you guys know, like, cracking open, a McFarlane comic book from back in the day, and the beautiful cover that he did, and when you opened up the book and the interiors were just as like exciting and amazing and all those things. That's something that I would definitely would want to do. I'm not sure if, like, at this point, if like, because with the full color rendering and everything like that too, like, just to kind of like, keep up that sort of fidelity, at the same time too, it's more than just, the pencils and the inks. And, I guess because I'm a control freak, I want to have like full control of, the coloring and the rendering and all those things. And, obviously that stuff takes time. But I would love to, at some point in time, like I said, have a creator-owned project where I could, maybe handpick an artist that kind of complements my cover art style and things like that, and still kind of like create the story arcs and contribute in that way.
And you have another more straightforward question right here from E-Man Fresco. It's Godzilla or what does that say? Triptychon?
I have to go with Godzilla. I love Triptychon, but yeah, I'm about the OG right there. What do you guys think?
Man,
on that question, I don't even know who Triptychon is.
He's a Decepticon Transformer.
I'm not familiar with that one. My Transformer knowledge doesn't go too much past the actual films, which I've seen all of those a ton of times. But
nice.
Yeah, I had toys when I was a kid, but
I grew up in the '90s. By that time, it was Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's
So
see.
do you have a preference of doing variants versus concept art, or
what was that, Brett?
do you have like a preference? Do you prefer to do like concept art more or variant covers?
It depends. I think that, especially like I said, because I guess I've got a little bit of I think prominence, whatever word you want to call it right now with the variants. I'm doing a lot of that work and I enjoy it a lot. And a lot of the publishers and retailers actually let me express my style quite a bit. So, that's always a benefit. But like I said, there's something to be said about doing concept art where you can actually contribute to having something and it being, on the big screen. And that's really fun. That's really cool too. It's hard to say. And maybe I'm being uncommittal about my answer, but I love it.
Oh no, not at all. No, I could definitely see the pros and cons for each side. So,
and it's tough because even now it's like I've been so busy with the variant covers and I'll get called for a concept art job and it's so hard to kind of see where I can make time for them both. But I do my best and stuff. It's
oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have, for sure.
Yeah.
You had someone say that they need you to do a Vampire Hunter D cover.
Oh my gosh. That would be...
I do remember watching that as a kid. Sci-Fi Channel back in the day used to have anime on Saturdays, and it was stuff that probably shouldn't have been playing on Saturday morning time slot. And I remember watching Robot Carnival and Vampire Hunter D and all kinds of pretty wicked.
I gotta say, kids. Did we lose Mark?
Yeah. Second, probably.
I was gonna say I think it's pretty awesome that kids these days get anime so readily available. Yeah, you can. It's just everywhere now. I was just saying, Mark. How folks these days get access to anime. Growing up in the Midwest, back in I'm not gonna say how old I am, but when anime wasn't available, I would have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to try to catch Robotech and things like that. And you guys are probably too young to know what Robotech is.
Nah. We both worked in a movie store for years, so we're familiar with time frames of some of this stuff for sure.
Yeah, but anyways, I would have to wake up ungodly early, and it would there might be a chance that they would come on or not, and but I would catch them, and then sometimes I wouldn't. But it was just a great opportunity to kind of get exposed to those things. And very recently, Vampire Hunter D, Ninja Scrolls, those sort of animes from the '90s were stuff that I just loved growing up, and to be able to kind of work on that stuff would be awesome. Even if it was a variant cover. Recently, I not anime, but I got asked to do a Blade Runner variant cover, and
awesome.
That's another dream come true. But I was just so slammed at the time that I had to decline it, and it was just It was a heartbreaker, yeah, because I would have loved to just kill it on that.
Oh, I'm
That
sure
would
you
have been
would.
awesome. That
Yeah.
that seems like it would be kind of geared for your style too, with some of the just the futuristic designs and all the little technical stuff and mechanical stuff you could add into that.
Yeah, just any sort of dystopian sort of like, world and all that stuff. It's just it sounds cliche for a concept artist,
And
comic
you
book
do have
artist,
a,
but I love
familiar
it.
name in the chat right here. Stopped in to say hey.
Hey, David, what's up, man? Thank you for having me do the state cover too. By the way, it was a lot of fun.
That was an awesome cover.
Yeah.
That was the second Kickstarter that I've backed here recently.
Nice. What was your first?
And he did the Legend of the White Dragon from Bat in the Sun.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking forward to that.
David says I don't sleep. That's actually kind of true.
It has to be accurate. There's no way that's not accurate. When you did the Insecticon cover here recently for Wicked Gator, when I saw that one pop up right after you had a different book pop up, and then I saw you had another one on the way, I even shared that on Facebook and said, this dude must not sleep, and kind of posted about it where people could find it. Yeah, it seems like you just have these things rolling out like in a perfect schedule right now. Like about every, I don't know, about 9 days, there's another cover coming out from you.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's probably best to kind of like slow down a little bit and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. Especially during these weird times, I feel very, very lucky and blessed to have these opportunities. But I do want to make sure that there isn't like a complete oversaturation of my stuff. But I'm like I said, there's opportunities too that come up, and you're just kind of like, oh man, I can't say no to like Blade Runner, but I did. So
yeah, I'm glad you didn't say no to those Last Ronin covers.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
71 variants that they did for Last Ronin issue 1, and by
yeah.
far for me, yours stood out like
yeah.
a sore thumb. Like beautiful wraparound cover as well, and even the second one. I don't know, your art just translates very well for that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, another sort of like the ability to execute against some sort of like dystopian world and everything like that, and the fact that it's the Turtles. Like when I first got asked to do that, I was just like, I was like, what is the Last Ronin? And it's the Turtles. I'm like I'll do it. I almost was like, I'll do it for free. Like like I was so excited about it, and the fact that it was, again, I think sort of like continuing that world and that storyline was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. And according to the plan now is that if all goes as according to our plan, if I can, I'm definitely going to be working on all the covers and stuff like that. So
That'd be awesome.
And what's funny is that
aside.
Working on the first issue's wraparound, that was really cool, but a lot of folks are like, we don't even want to take it out of the bag. And I'm like,
oh, there's a solution to that. You just get it slabbed.
Oh yeah,
it's a perfect solution. You can see the front and back of the book.
Oh, that's true. That's
what the background for this hangout tonight is. Your Mighty Morphin #1 that you did through Frankies. It's a wraparound, so I just went ahead and ordered that one slabbed.
I know a lot of people were like, well, they're like, well, now that we know that there's these wraparounds, some people are like, well, buy 2 and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, I very much appreciate it. But
yeah,
I've got a friend in Belgium who had me order him one as well, and he's planning on wanting to. When it gets in, he wants me to send it to you for your little sign or remark services.
Oh,
and
cool.
There's a 6-hour time difference between us and them, and he's got to be up in the morning. So he just wanted me to ask you, what would you consider remarking on one of those, or where would you put it at on that specific issue, that Mighty Morphin #1? a lot of these shops kind of give you like Big Time Collectibles kind of shows you like a rough layout of where you'd be remarking what books and stuff.
Right.
But they didn't have that option on theirs.
Yeah, you know what? I think I have the cover right here. Yeah, I'd probably be doing something right around this area because this is actually the front of the cover. So, what I would do, and that's the thing, is that it's always kind of tough because I'm always, if I can, I will try to do as many different characters as possible and stuff. But you know, I try not to do like a bajillion only Ronin headshots. But you know, I kind of also play it as they come. So
now I do plan on getting an Etrigan sketch right there on this specific cover. This guy's face needs to go right there.
Nice.
That's a character that I would love to see, just like a full scale, full color, printed on nice paper version, your version of that character one day. And so I'm definitely going to settle for just getting him added to that cover for now, and just keep holding my hopes out.
He's one of those characters that if I had to design him, he would be a little daunting and scary to do. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what could go wrong following Jack Kirby.
That's true. That's the problem, though, right? Because that's near perfection right there. You know what I mean?
And John Leone in the chat asked, what character or title would you like to do a variant cover for that you haven't already?
Well, there is the whole Marvel stable that I would love to tackle at some point. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And obviously, Spider-Man has always been one of my favorites, and Venom, and you know that whole family of characters is always something that's been cool. It's something I'd love to work on. And also, Moon Knight is another character that I think is very visual and very cool. And also too, back in the day, I loved Exo Man of War
from Valiant. From Valiant, yeah.
Yeah. And Bloodshot, awesome that's another cool one too. Yep.
Now I'm just gotta ask, did you see the Bat in the Sun production movie called Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe, where they did like it's like an hour-long live-action movie. Jason David Frank, who played the in Power Rangers, plays Bloodshot in it, and they've got Exo in it, and it was really well done. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube. It's fantastic.
Oh, nice. I'll check it out.
Yeah. And let's see. Russ asks, what is your earliest movie or comic that you remember that inspired your career path?
Again, probably kind of like dating myself here, but the Richard Donner Superman was like, for me.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, it's a seminal moment. There you go. Like, you know, I remember that cover, that poster where it's, you know, the S, and it's not even, you don't even see just the streak, and I'm just like, oh,
game
my God.
changer.
And the music and everything like that. I remember we had you know, for a very short amount of time when I was a kid, we had HBO as a kid, and I didn't go see it in the theater, but it was being shown on HBO, and I was out to dinner with my parents, and I was just like freaking out. I was just like, and they were out with like friends from like another town that, you know, so they were like taking their time, but I was like, I got to get home. I don't know if you guys understand what is going on, but I got to get home and I got to watch Superman. And I had this quilt that I just would tie around my neck and just run around the living room.
Perfect.
The John Williams score too was just incredible. Like, there's not much that's, you know, when we talk about like what we were saying earlier, that sort of like awe and that sort of like that inspiration and all those things that kind of excite you about movies and everything like that. That's one of those movies that does it for me.
And his score is like one of those timeless ones. You can hear it today. Like kids that haven't even actually seen that movie can hear that music and know that that goes with Superman from just where it's just been around so long and it just lasts.
Yeah.
And let's see. David Bryan said that you do an awesome Moon Knight.
I hope so. It's one of those characters too that I've only done a couple sketches of. I always have this fanciful idea of doing something that's so ghostly and like white on white that's really cool. Every time I try to do it, it doesn't turn out that well, to be completely honest. But I'm always trying to look to kind of capture that level of I don't know I don't want to get too technical, but sort of like subsurface scattering and transparency and that sort of like ghostly look and stuff. That's really cool. That I think that would be fitting for for Moon Knight.
For sure, yeah. Sticking with the Spider-Man family, I think I'd like to see you do a 2099 cover.
Oh my God,
dude, that's my favorite suit. Thank you, Brent. That would be
just the futuristic aspect of 2099, and then when you look at like how you drew those like sigils above Draken's hands in that variant, like I could see that coming into play and everything with like holograms off TVs and everything, and I think that would be really awesome.
Well, I think that's one of those characters that was also like if I were to be kind of like, if I'm just kind of like off the cuff imagining now is with 2099, it's that blend of, like you said, that sort of like high tech sort of digital readout with the colors and that sort of like effect. But I always feel like the 2099 suit is a bit beastly. Do you know what I mean? It has some like it does have some like
spikes coming out the back.
The spikes coming out the back, the sort of like the gauntlet with the nails and all that stuff, and then the webbing that's kind of like frayed and everything. Like there's an element of like dark monstrous design to that suit.
Oh, absolutely. He rocks a skeleton on his face and he's a drug addict. I mean, he's got it's a tainted character. It's really cool.
So that would be a nice blend of all that sort of aesthetic that I love.
Oh yeah.
Peter David knows how to write some characters.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does for sure. See,
we've got a guy, River Falls, in the chat asking a bunch of straightforward questions. Favorite video game console?
My fondest memories are probably, and my first memories, again, dating myself, is the Atari 2600.
Nice.
But I really have a lot of fond memories of the original Nintendo. Playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and the wrestling game, and those are really fun. But the ones that I guess that I think right now too, with the amount and the volume of games that come out, maybe these games are by far obviously like super advanced and really kind of like they blow a lot of those games out of the water, but back in the day. But I love I just love it when like you get sort of like watershed moments with like the PlayStation and everything like that too.
I still rock a Nintendo 64.
Nice.
Yeah.
I actually never had the 64 and never had the GameCube.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I didn't have a GameCube either, but like the 64 was kind of paramount just because it really just changed video games when it came out. Like Mario could run in 3 dimensions at this point, and it was like blowing people's minds and all that stuff. So, but yeah.
I was really sort of confused with Mario on that console because, my old Mario games was like you just get dropped into the world and that level and you just played it, and I think that one was one of the first that introduced like a map and all that stuff, and I was like, what's happening here? Like I don't get it.
Another straightforward question from him. He must know that you're a sneakerhead, but what's your favorite shoe?
Jordan 1s.
He said his is Nikes, so he doesn't really specify what.
Yeah, Nike Jordan, the original Jordans and stuff, which I don't have a pair of.
He's got two more straightforward ones. Favorite food?
I think pandemic appropriate is probably soyu ramen.
Yeah, and you're a vegetarian, right?
Yeah. So it's and I load it up with veggies and everything like that. So I try to again elevate my my top ramen as much as I can with a lot of veggies.
Make it live up to its name when it says top ramen.
Well, the funny thing is that a little known fact is that like a lot of times if you get stove ramen or anything like that, and it's like pork or chicken or beef flavored and everything like that, like because I'm a vegetarian now, I always look at ingredients, and there's oftentimes no actual meat in those ramens. It's a flavoring and stuff. So.
Dude, it changed my life because I haven't eaten meat in years, and it changed my life when I found out that little hard bacon bits are actually vegetarian friendly. I'm like, dude, that's a game changer. That's a game changer.
Exactly.
all these little things.
Yeah, bacon bits are the original plant-based meat.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And when I watched when I listened to the C-List Villains podcast, I realized how much we had in common. Like I heard you talk about skydiving, heard you talk about being a vegetarian, but that's really where it ended. After that, you started talking about how you're actually talented, and then you lost me. That was it.
I don't. Let me just say that's the great thing about this community, though, is that I think we've all got a lot of stuff to contribute, and most of all, and I like to hold to my ideals, but I think everyone's generally very kind and everything like that. And like I said, everyone has something to contribute, and that's what makes it so fun and so great. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Me and Brent have been my dad's been collecting comics since the early '60s. So I grew up in a household filled with comics. His collection would take anyone's breath away the first time they see it. But actually stepping out into the actual comic community and actually like connecting with people through YouTube and Instagram, I've never met a nicer, more welcoming group of people. And just within a few months, like I'm just talking on a regular basis with people, just fanboying out about all kinds of different stuff. Yeah, I've got a friend in Belgium who I met 3 months ago online that we talk every single day about comics and stuff. And a lot of your stuff, even like he gets me to order it where I can just box it all up and ship it to him at one time. And it's just crazy how cool how everyone just really comes together. It's awesome, especially in this time. When you're stuck at home anyways, and you're still able to reach out and connect with new people, even though still just sitting here.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I'm very fortunate. I've gotten to meet folks over in the UK and Australia and, like you said, Belgium and, South America and stuff like that. And, it's such a great, I think, transcendent sort of thing where people can just enjoy the artwork and also and oftentimes the whether or not we realize it or not, these stories are also very relatable too, and like I said, it's still where a lot of like fertile ideas are actually being developed, and I think that's really exciting.
Oh, for sure.
So I know that you posted that you have a series of jams coming out through Frankies, and we've seen 2 of them now. No, 3 of them. There's been 3 of them that's been released with Mighty Morphin, Punchline number 1, and Death Metal number 5. Are you able to say how many more of these jams we could be expecting through that specific shop?
I can't just yet.
I thought I'd go fishing for a minute.
Good try though. Good try though.
Yeah.
You gotta ask. You gotta ask.
Oh yeah, gotta ask.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what else you come up with, man.
Say hey, Brent.
Hey, what's up, man?
Variants and everything. So What's up,
right,
Finn?
go back. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, Mark just sent me the spawn he did last week. I just like sat there trying to digest everything in there for like 10 minutes, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Spawn, but something about I guess it's McFarlane's work, and you know, I remember again very adolescent memories of working on and admiring his stuff so much that, you know, whenever I get an opportunity to kind of, you know, do my version of Spawner, it just goes overboard. But
Yeah,
um,
but in a
it's
good
a lot
way.
of fun. Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Quick question
I
about
asked you something,
Spawn.
but I lost it.
Yeah.
I saw this cover one time when I was looking up stuff, and it had you and Todd McFarlane credited on the cover. It was a white background, side profile of Spawn with his mouth open and a gun coming out of his mouth, and I can't find that book anywhere. What's up?
If anybody can find that book, that's that would be that'd be awesome, because I've never I've never actually seen it too. Excuse me. I did a little bit of work with Todd on something. I can't say just yet either. But anyways, I that was a rough. I did sent him a series of thumbnails, and that was just like this little teeny tiny thumbnail, and you know, Todd did his magic and worked it up into like a cover, and he inked on one of my layouts, which again is
Wow.
like, yeah, like
That's awesome.
again, like, you know, that's, you know, a huge dream come true there. Excuse me. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's even making me sort of like teary eyed right now. But
Yeah.
no, but it was just an amazing sort of thing that he did, and and then I saw it turn up in previews and everything like that. But I've actually never seen it physically, so who knows? If you guys can find it,
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what issue it was. I have it still on my phone. I think it was like 209 or something like that.
yeah,
Around
something
there.
like that. Yeah.
But it was a really cool cover too.
It was, yeah.
And kind of in your fashion, it had that, like, all that mechanical. You just kind of do like mechanical stuff really well.
Oh, thanks.
Like,
I often kind of say I'm a bit of a gearhead when it comes to, I love I love mechs and I love monsters. So
Pacific Rim was made for you.
exactly. So when people ask me what one of my favorite movie making experiences was, it's, you know, getting an opportunity to work on giant monsters and all the mechanical bits, as well as, I mean, you know, giant mechs and working on all those mechanical bits, and then working on monsters and all of their grotesque bits and everything like that. Like, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Now, as far as like the concept work that you do going into these movies, which movie kind of had the most amount of your individual touch to it, like that you contributed? Because I remember hearing you talk about how doing concept designs for movies kind of like you do this and someone else adds something to it, and then it kind of just becomes like a group project thing.
Mm-hmm.
But how much, when you watch a movie, what has like just John written all over it?
Again, it's sort of hard to say. We all kind of like contribute as much as we can based upon our schedules, and you know what kind of bandwidth we have, and whatnot. But I do have to say that, you know, I worked a lot on Avengers 2. I worked a lot on the first Turtles. I worked a lot on Pacific Rim. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place, but in the second Turtles too. Yeah, it's we all kind of like have our little moments to kind of, you know, contribute. And like I said, any one asset or any one design element often kind of gets layers upon layers of everyone's sort of like contribution, and you know what you guys see at the end is ultimately the accumulation of all of that.
Well, it works out very well.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
Dude, that Hulkbuster fight in Age of Ultron was nuts.
Oh
Just
my god,
watching
that
the
was
pieces
so
just
fun.
keep coming and just keep coming, and the fight just kept going. And I've seen some of the concept art that what is it called, Orbital Harvest, the website, where you can see a lot of your stuff showcased. They have, like, I guess it's some of the actual concept art you did while you were working on the project, and some of those art pieces on there look like stills out of the movie, like with Pacific Rim when they're down at the riff on the bottom of the ocean with the when the Jaeger exploded and went nuclear, and it looks like stills out of the actual movie.
Yeah, oftentimes, you know, especially with concept art these days, is you know there's this desire to do things pretty quick and pretty fast, but they also have a certain level of fidelity that is represented in the films as well.
And here we go. The chat just started blowing up at the same time. Spawn 285, I'm convinced it doesn't exist. And then right behind it, Spawn 285, Cover B, McFarlane and Jane collaboration. So it looks like everyone went to go check it out for you. So Spawn 285, everyone, be on the lookout. Cover B. It's the unicorn.
If anybody can find that, like, I would love to see a physical copy. Like, it would be cool.
It's like Definitely. A unicorn. You know it's real. They're just hard to find.
Yeah.
Now, do you get to do like or work on any of the animation side of stuff as well, like kind of rendering the CGI, or is it just pretty much just the concept art, or have you wanted to dabble in the animation or anything?
I think that question is kind of like similar to the working on interiors question. Like, I would love to, and it's always something that you know I want to be a part of. But you know, I think also often too I kind of have to tell myself to kind of do what I can with the sort of bandwidth that I have.
Sure.
Like I said, obviously, right now, I usually go on 3 or 4 hours of sleep every night. So, doing any more than that, like, you know, I'd love to, but I think also too knowing where my place is in terms of like the overall process is good too, because I think I'm probably more suited to doing design stuff and as opposed to actually like making it work and animated and production ready. Yeah, because I would just break things. I would just ruin things. I'm sure.
His arm doesn't bend that way.
Right.
Oh man, but
what are you guys reading these days?
Oh man, we've been getting into
a lot.
Yeah, Dark Knight's Death Metal quite a bit. Of course, getting that Robin King variant, but they've had a lot of like we'll say chapters and one shots in that, so we've been keeping up with that, and
all the Power Ranger stuff where the series just split. We've been picking up a lot of stuff from Boom, man. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, Seven Secrets, both Power Ranger titles now that they've split. The Last Ronin right behind you, reading that, of course. Tons of stuff across DC and a select little bit with Marvel. You know, I don't know. There's not keeping up with the whole Venom stuff going on or the Null or any of that stuff, but I read Immortal Hulk. Al Ewing's done a fantastic job with that, and he's doing an awesome job switching over at Boom to We Only Find Them When They're Dead. I don't know if you checked that out, but it's wicked. Are you familiar with that one?
I'm familiar in a certain way, yes.
Like I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a really, really awesome concept. But it's a good read so far. And Immortal Hulk has just continued to deliver. Big Hulk fan.
Oh, yeah, nice. One thing we talked about last night with our buddy that we had on was Murder Falcon. That is, I mean, it's not ongoing anymore, but it was like a little 8-issue miniseries that was just, it's probably my favorite comic story that I've read.
Oh, nice.
From Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yeah,
Nice,
Daniel Warren
nice.
Johnson wrote and lent his artistic talents as well. Just like a really fun, like wacky, but also like emotionally heavy story, and it was just it. I mentioned too that it's the only series that's really given me goosebumps like every issue that I've read.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was just so good.
Well, I was going to say that don't get me wrong. Like, I think we're all in this community for all of our various personal reasons and whatnot. But the fact that you guys are actually reading these things too, like reading comics as well, like that's awesome. Like, there's a lot of folks that are, and it's fine. It's totally what you're into, and some folks are in it for spec, and some folks are in it for art, and some folks are in it to actually be reading, and that's awesome. And the fact that you're actually reading too, like
that's all we do with these books, man. We talk about all the time that we probably should sell some of this stuff to try to fund our hobby, and then we just sit here and sit on it.
Well, how do you guys feel when you have to slab them up though? Like,
well, I've read them first.
I've just
like that one that slabbed of your book, your Mighty Morphin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. Do you know how many copies of that #1 we have because of the different covers and stuff? So that one deserved like at least 3 or 4 from all the different covers that they did. They did the Goni Montez variants with like Shredder holding the Green Ranger helmet and holding Draken's helmet. So there was just too many cool ones to pass up. So, you end up with a reader copy, which just sits in a box in a bag and board, and then you get display copies or collector. Like the ones that end up in slabs, it's like buying just an art piece. It's just an art piece that's attached to some other pages for me. The Demon book, I read this exact issue. This very one that before I slabbed it, I read it right before I sent it off. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. I don't have anything slabbed that I haven't read.
I just remember as a kid, I would always like love, and maybe me as an artist, I was always like opening up and perusing through my comics oftentimes over and over and over. Maybe that's because it's an art thing, but I would be heartbroken to kind of slap something up and not be able to, crack it open again.
Yeah, there's certain things like the 181. I'm not trying to peruse through that. If I want to see the art in it, these days it's so easy to find a way. I mean, just get a digital copy of it or go buy a facsimile edition with the exact same art in it. But
that's true.
I'd rather have that kind of preserved for that aspect of it. And if you catch any of our at Week's End shows that we do once a week, you'll see us thumbing very recklessly through books the whole time because we're just sitting there talking live with each other and with a buddy on the show about what we read this week and just thumbing through, opening them up, holding them to the camera at the panels and stuff, and actually enjoying the content.
Nice.
So there's certain books that we, I like having them slabbed for no other reason than displaying them mainly. They just look good displayed like that. A lot of them I bought slabbed and just started playing with getting stuff graded myself. I haven't. It's been about 3 months since I got my first slabbed book. Been with comics since I was born. I'm 33 years old, and I just got my first graded book about 3 months ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've bought books already graded a few times before, and that's mainly just for like the collecting aspect. And I just sent the first 2 books off to be graded through a local comic shop here.
Oh, cool.
About a month and a half ago, so they should be back fairly soon. But yeah, it's kind of like, I like to have, especially certain things, I'd like to have them preserved so there's not like any kind of issue or compromise with the integrity of the book or anything like that. So looking to do a little bit more of that with some stuff. And another reason too why whenever your Mighty Morphin cover came out, I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and buy the graded version, and that way that's out of the way and I don't have to worry about it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that book specifically, I'm sitting on 7 copies of #1.
Oh, wow.
Because they had the cover A, the cover B, they had the red blank variant, which I sent you the picture of.
Yeah.
And they did the 1 per store variant, the 1 in 10 variant, and just a big Power Ranger fan.
I get asked this question a lot in terms of like being a creator in this sort of like variant market and stuff. But how do you guys feel as consumers about the number of variants and the variant market and how things are going?
Hot and cold.
Yeah.
There's a cool aspect to it that they're there. Then there's a definite like as a consumer, I feel like there's a lot of shops out there that is very basic looking cover art. It's not necessarily something I would expect to be on a cover. It's not like posterizing or whatever the word is. It's not real flashy. It just looks real simple.
Sure.
And I don't know. For me, cover art is supposed to just be iconic and catchy. And if if I'm not seeing that, I'm not buying it. And I'm not sure how there's so many out there. Like 71 covers for Last Ronin issue 1, and out of those 71 covers, there weren't 10 great ones.
That's true.
I mean, it wasn't bad art by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't like that book is an epic piece of like modern history now because of its whole backstory and it being created and where it came from. And there's not 10 iconic covers out of 71 even, which is kind of odd when you have that many, But to each their own. I mean, everyone has a different taste, and they'll be chasing different artists. And I feel sorry for the poor soul that trying to chase all the Last Ronin cover A's. But
if you're out there, I'd love to see that collection.
Yeah, I would love to see that picture just plastered somewhere. I mean, they deserve a participation ribbon or something.
I enjoy the variant game, if nothing else than just being able to see a bunch of different artwork and everything out there. But that being said, I do think there are some like tribute covers that get way overdone, especially nowadays. Like the Spider-Man 300 issue, the Todd McFarlane cover. Like I could never see another like tribute cover of that again and be totally fine with it. Like when they did the Juggernaut.
I hope he's not working on one right now, Brent.
That was like that jumped the shark for me. I was like, oh, come on, man.
Which one was that again, Brent?
The Spider-Man 300.
Right,
Juggernaut. The Juggernaut 300.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't bend that way.
Yeah, no, it's physically impossible. I'm not buying it.
I know. We got our buddy Blaine, who we actually met at one of the local comic shops here when Clayton Crane was in town at a signing. He subscribed to our channel, watches the stuff, but he just direct messaged me on Facebook and said he's not able to comment, but he wanted to know who's your favorite character to draw personally, like whether it be on actual books, whether it be for films or just in your personal time.
I think the character that I love drawing and turns out pretty well oftentimes is, again, Spider-Man. Just the sort of different posing and all the cool stuff that I can usually do with him. It's pretty fun. The character that, going back to what we talked about earlier, that again, is iconic to me and I love, but actually I have some difficulty kind of nailing is Superman.
That's my dude.
Just because there's a certain, I think part of it is this internal sort of conflict that I have with what my ideals are of that character are, and I think it goes back to the Richard Donner Superman, and Christopher Reeve, and that sort of what I think those ideals are to me. I think are really cool. I think for a modern day audience, I don't know if that resonates anymore. You know what I mean?
I see that debate happening online a lot where people are like, Cavill or Reeve, and I'm like, dude, when I close my eyes, I see Christopher Reeve every time. That's who Superman is to me. But Henry Cavill did a great job. But
Henry Cavill is an amazing Superman.
Yeah, he's perfect for today's Superman audience. But Christopher Reeve is just always going to be my Superman for some reason. It's just
and I guess I don't necessarily think about it as in terms of like also the actors, but also the way that I think maybe the way that he's interpreted now is that sometimes he's just very badass and heat vision-y and all the sort of like scariness and all that stuff that I just don't know if that's Superman. Do you know what I mean? Like,
those new 52 Superman,
like,
maybe
these covers and like he's sitting there floating in the air and he's like, his eyes are red because he's about to, gear up for heat vision, but it makes him look evil. Like I've noticed that on a lot of covers lately. Like he looks like a bad guy.
Yeah, which I guess that's what resonates now. So
DC's kind of amped it up a little bit in the past few years with kind of more adult style content and stuff. A lot of I don't know. I guess they've just been trying different stuff with trying to get new readers in or just change their whole style up. But that wholesomeness that comics used to have, it's not wholesome anymore. It's definitely badass is the term for it.
Well, with that being said, I love the designs for Future State. I think that they're very cool.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of worried about that whole thing. I think Future State looks cool, but seeing all the news and stuff here lately, I'm not sure what's going to be coming of DC after that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like you might know. Say something, John. Say something.
I can't say anything that wouldn't get me in trouble. So
okay, well that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm primarily a DC reader, and yeah, if you're a big DC fan, this is a kind of nerve-wracking times right now. We've got Endless Winter coming up, then we have Future State coming up, and then the future's unknown for us as consumers.
I think they're going to keep everyone pretty surprised. I think that, I think what I've been enjoying about DC is that I think especially even since working on Deceased, you can kind of see that there's like this attempt to kind of do this reinvention of their stuff every so often, which is kind of cool at times. I can also see how it can kind of be frustrating for folks that want to have a lot more sort of like long-term sort of like investment in some of these characters and whatnot. But I think that there's this opportunity to kind of like, I often kind of think about it in terms of, Batman is a good character like that. Iron Man is another good character like that, where the suits themselves and the designs of them are kind of reinvented and refreshed every so often to kind of give something new all the time.
I just hope they're not going to come out and be like, surprise, we're closed.
We were kind of talking about it last night, how, and I mean, again, I don't know how true this is either, but how DC may be kind of gearing more towards like a self-contained story that's not this sort of loose with like the overall continuity of things, because I think they've seen a lot of success in these like shorter, like 8 and 12 issue mini or maxi series and stuff like that, like with Batman White Knight or Strange Adventures and even Rorschach and stuff like that. I think that they've been seeing higher numbers in these shorter stories, and someone was thinking that they may start going that route after Future State and keep things sort of streamlined and stuff.
I have no idea.
I'm trying so hard to read his body language right now. Keep fishing, Brent. You fish, I'll read.
Yeah, that's funny. But at any rate, I hope they keep having you doing covers, because I've definitely been enjoying them and being able to collect them and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. If they'll keep having me, I'll keep working on them. They've been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
they've been really well. They're keeping me at work these days. I'm trying to find as much overtime as I can.
I feel very bad when I hear folks. And I know it's all everyone's just joking and it's in jest and everything like that. But people are like, I have to put out a second mortgage to buy variant covers. I'm like, oh, don't tell me that. Like,
I don't think anyone's actually. I'm not actually breaking my back to get money just to buy books. I'm just saying, it's just.
No, I know.
Yeah, I think it's meant as a compliment, and you're over there getting like, oh no, this dude's homeless. All he has is a cardboard box and my variant now.
That's the thing is that I think maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but whenever because I do conventions, and whenever a little kid comes up and is like, I don't have money to get home on the bus and all that stuff, I'm like, oh man, I feel terrible. I can't make you buy something now. Like that that doesn't make me feel. Yeah, I feel terrible about it. I always give them a discount or something like that, but
there you go.
Yeah. Sealess Villain asked, are you going to start selling prints of your famous covers once convention season starts up again?
We'll see. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's always a matter of making sure that I still support the retailers and everything like that, that also put out the variants and everything like that. So, but I also think that once they get sold out and everything like that, there's still a demand. We want to make sure there's also a good aftermarket that's chasing after some of these grails and unicorns. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever done Heroes Con before?
I have.
Oh,
I
really?
did it back in. Yep. I did it back in. I think 2015. I think. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Missed you by a year.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. I think I went in 2013 when Stan Lee was there, and it was like the anniversary of the Rocketeer. I got that signed by Stan and an art print and stuff signed by Stan. And
okay.
That was the last time
where you guys?
I had lived in Charlotte. I think it was like 2016, and had just decided to check it out one day when I was off, and I've pretty much been back every year since. Because where I lived in Augusta wasn't. It's like 2.5 hours from Charlotte, so it's a nothing drive.
Okay.
And, kind of made it a point to make it up there every year, and I really like that one because it's very grassroots convention. You're not having like a ton of celebrities or really any at all. It's all just like writers.
It's very art focused. Yeah.
Yeah.
Creator focused. Yeah. Not to go and get a downer and all that stuff, but I was supposed to go this year.
Yeah. No, it's I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I had planned on going as well, but hopefully next year everything will be a little bit more to the point where we can do things like that. Put it that way.
Did we answer Sealess Villain's question? I don't remember.
Yeah, if you were going to be doing art prints of these famous covers. Yeah. He also asked a question way early on that I didn't put up. There you go. But no, you didn't answer that one.
Yeah. This just like most of my work and everything like that. What you see is the facade. Everything underneath and behind is not front of the house stuff that you guys actually want to see. But polka dots, C-list polka dots.
That's funny. Oh man, so have you been able to get your hands on any comics these days? I remember before you said you'd been pretty busy.
You want to see? I did I actually haven't gotten anything for quite a while, but I don't know. I was like on eBay and I was like, I'll just see what's up, and I picked up a couple things, and I actually opened them up, so it's a slight mail call and all that stuff. But
oh, nice.
Let's see. Hold on. So I got a bunch of Amazing Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane
awesome
ones. Yeah. So
you get them all in one lot?
There was a bunch in a lot and stuff, and then I got another lot that had a few, that were kind of the older, older issues and stuff. I think I've seen the trade paperback that kind of collects a lot of his Amazing Spider-Mans and whatnot. But again, this is me being old, but there's something to be said about that newsprint. That old. Even these are still kind of, some of them are still on that older newsprint, which there's something cool about them. And then all the covers. These aren't like high grades or anything like that, but it's just fun to kind of have, again, as an artist to have inspiration and around and stuff.
I still think that's awesome that he inked over your art.
Yeah.
I've been kind of keeping an eye out for that. Me and Brent it's been a few weeks ago that we were looking at it, and I haven't seen it pop up anywhere, dude. I don't think that Spawn book does exist.
Yeah. He teased us all. It's me especially.
I bet.
How dare he?
Do you ever I know Brent was mentioning your Spawn art print that you did. I sent that to him last night. That thing was wicked. But have you talked with Todd McFarlane or anyone over at Image about doing any work with them recently?
So I actually have a few covers coming up for Image and stuff like that. Yeah.
Dude, fishing. It worked.
I guess I can talk about this one. I have issue 2 of Crossover that's coming out.
What?
I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, who's it going to be through?
El Rey Comics.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been working together. So that's one that's going to come out and stuff.
Did you need to stop and read issue 1 of that if you haven't already?
I have. It's awesome.
It wasn't it? That was insane. Dude, I love how it takes place in Colorado. When old girl got to her job, dude's got the shirt on that says Wortham was right. That was hilarious. And then he strangely looks like Chuck from Mile High Comics.
Oh yeah.
That was huh?
I think everything in that book, everything about that book is about all the little Easter eggs.
Yeah,
it
was littered with them. It was so fun.
Yeah, me and Mark had poured over the Scorpion Comics variant, just looking at all the different analogs and stuff like that.
Ellen's work. Yeah, Ellen is amazing. He's a beast.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just details for detail's sake too. He especially that cover. There's a lot of storytelling and narrative and, like I said, Easter eggs and all that stuff that's going on in that.
Yeah, it was a really
crazy
awesome
cover. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I was hoping you were going to say Crossover. I was going to ask you about it because that the covers that they've come out with, especially that John Gallagher one and how the colors are, I think it was very similar to your stuff as well. And I was thinking dude, that'd be awesome if John had done a variant for Crossover as well. And then when you mentioned Image, I was like, please let it be Crossover. And I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
John's work is also very breathtaking. Just again, another artist who does a lot of sort of really energetic, photorealistic, compositions. He's tops.
Yeah, that was I think that cover was really the first introduction I had into some of his stuff, and
oh really?
It was almost the same situation of when Mark showed me your Draken book and everything like that. He was like, dude, where how come we haven't been seeing this dude's stuff everywhere else?
Yeah. I think that's the other thing that's really cool about variants too, is that if nothing else, I think variants kind of are a great way to it's a great vehicle to introduce new artists and, different styles and different, just a wide variety of art that people normally wouldn't see. And even concept artists and video game artists and everything like that to kind of, be a part of that sort of community and stuff that normally would be only reserved for, I guess, comic book artists and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Very cool.
Well, guys, I'm coming up on that time where I should probably be, getting some of my covers done. I know that some of the retailers are like, "You're spending a lot of time on the show. You should probably be painting my cover."
It's funny.
Thank you for
Well, I
having
definitely
me.
appreciate you coming by, man. This was awesome.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you so much, dude. It was awesome to be able to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
For sure.
Absolutely looking forward to those that crossover book, man.
Oh,
Super
yeah.
excited
Crossover.
now.
I guess if we're talking about some of the stuff that's coming out is crossovers coming out. There is I was saying earlier too on another interview, we were talking earlier too about game consoles, but a bunch of artists on a classic game thing that's coming out too. So that'll be really fun. Yeah.
Thanks for the details on that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, thank you so much
I'm
for
terrible.
real. And yeah, I look forward to sending you some stuff here and waiting very impatiently for it to get worked on and come back to me.
Sounds good. Awesome, Brent.
Yeah.
Awesome, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you have a good night, man.
Thanks for
And
coming.
you take it easy.
And thanks for everyone who's joined us, and everyone stay safe. All right.
You as well, man.
Okay.
Dude.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that was Mr. John Giang. That was really cool. I'm pumped for that crossover number 2 now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to the drop on that.
Yeah, and Kid Rano. Yeah, did you read issue number 1? Because that book was insanely cool, and there's so much that could be done with that kind of cover, where literally you have like how I mentioned, he would love to like tap into like the whole pantheon of Marvel characters. With a book like Crossover, you have the whole pantheon of comic book history to play with. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely wash some hands. Appreciate it, Pops.
Thanks, Mr. Russell.
But yeah, that was super fun, and yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot more covers about to be dropping. I know he did confirm that he's going to be doing all of the Last Ronin covers. He'll have a variant for each one of those. So that's super exciting.
Oh yeah.
Those covers have been insane.
Definitely. Still need to get a hold of that number 1.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here as well, man.
Sounds good.
Go catch up, make sure everyone's good and tucked in for the night. And yeah, thanks everybody for stopping in. Thanks everyone for hanging out with us in the chat. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button on your way out the door. And go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because Brent and I will be doing an announcement this coming week. We'll be doing a video for our 200 subscriber giveaway. We're just a couple subscribers away from hitting that point. So we want to go ahead and get the video out ahead of time, so it's not as long of a wait after we pass that mark. And so we'll be announcing what we'll be giving away, how to enter that video, all that good stuff. And then be on the lookout tomorrow for the Legion list, our top pick videos, where you see what's in our pool box for the week. And then next weekend we'll be doing At Week's End episode 9, and we'll be breaking down everything that we read this coming week and doing a spoiler-filled video.
Always fun.
Absolutely. And enjoyed every panel of the comic book short. Yes, absolutely, Kidrano. The comic book scene in that book was amazing. Wortham was right. I want that shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna head out, guys. Thanks everyone for stopping in, and as always, keep reading comics, keep collecting,
And remember that we are Legion.